Hello, everyone. How are you this afternoon? Good? How's market so far? Amazing. I am so excited for you to see this presentation, get to know Jeremy a little bit. I just wanted to give you a quick primer. Jeremy Jankowski is a digital expert. He's got more than 14 years of experience designing best-in-class digital advertising campaigns. His most recent roles included overseeing brand partnerships at media companies like Refinery29 and Domino, and he is now the creator management lead for the lifestyle category at Pinterest. Please welcome Jeremy Jankowski.
Hello.
Good to see you.
You too.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm going to be here.
All right.
Awesome. To get started, so much of your work has been at the intersection of digital media, compelling storytelling, advertising, and brand partnerships. And those worlds have kind of collided more than ever these days. And I wanted to start by just talking about the state of social media in general, where we are, how we tell stories online, and how it makes us feel. And so I thought we'd just start by getting really real with everyone in the audience here. We're talking about social. There feels like so much opportunity to build a brand, so much opportunity to grow your business. Does anyone else feel exhausted when they think about keeping up with their social media feed? I see a couple hands, right? You feel like you can't keep up, you're not quite doing enough. From your seat, what's happened that makes us all feel kind of just a little bit behind?
Well, thank you for that. And
Yeah,
I'm super stoked to be here because I come from a long lineage of the business of, especially in advertising. And so I think the last 3 years we've seen a multitude of platforms explode. And I hear from creators all the time that creator burnout is real.
Yeah.
They feel like they're on this hamster wheel where they have to post constantly. You know, if you look at the platforms from different perspectives, TikTok is an ingestion of tons and tons of content. So you are constantly a talking head in your phone, sharing every part of your day. Instagram, you're constantly producing more and more content, and that content goes away. And I think that's what leads to creator burnout, is we feel the need that we have to constantly produce
You're on a hamster wheel.
Hamster wheel over and over again. And that's what I think is so interesting about Pinterest. Pinterest is a place where you go to get ideas. You go to learn things. It's inspiring content. The content is evergreen. It doesn't go away. And so pins that I published 1.5 years ago, they still get saves and likes and comments nearly every single day, and they still help me build a community on Pinterest. And so we hear from a lot of creators that Pinterest is this nice safe haven where their content still matters 6 months from now. And it's due to the nature of Pinterest, right? Because it's teachable, inspirational content.
When we were preparing for this talk, and I was looking at my Pinterest account, I have a few boards that none of you can see. They're private, that I made early in the days of the platform. And one, I can't wait for early 2010s fashion to come back because I love the stuff that I'm pitting there. But it was all still there. It was a digital archive of what I was thinking,
Right.
what I was creating, what I was curating. And the idea that you can do that now, and you said 6 months from now it's still there, but 6 years from now it could be there if you wanted to kind of revisit how you were thinking in that moment.
Exactly, and that's because Pinterest is first and foremost a visual search engine, right? So you tag things with topics, and there I have this pin that incessantly, I have a big accent wall in my living room, and I got tired of it, so I extended it to my hallway and parts of the ceiling. That pin gets so much love every single day because the concept of extending your accent wall to a ceiling and a hallway is not going to be dated. You could do that at any point in time. And so the content lives on. And so
Yeah.
that's a breath of fresh air that we hear from creators constantly. I think the second thing too, though, is to think about what platforms benefit you the most. Like, is your audience on this platform or is it on this platform? Does it make the most sense for your business to be on a place like Pinterest, or does another platform make the most sense for your business?
How do you start to make, what's the math you're doing there? What are the calculations to really figure out who your audience is?
I mean, I think you have to think about the headspace that consumers at when they're going into a platform. And the reason I was so excited about taking this role at Pinterest a couple years ago was because I came from, most recently I was at Domino Magazine for about 2 years. And while I was there, I was helping them convert print to digital,
Yep.
really sell all their social handles, really come up to where the eyeballs are this day and age. And so when you think about your mix, it's really what kind of headspace the consumer is at when they're on a platform. When I log on and go on Instagram, I'm there to see what my friends are up to see a few celebrities, to see Kim Kardashian on her private plane. But when I go on TikTok, pure entertainment. I'm there to zone out. It's not very editorialized content. When I go to Pinterest, I'm there to find something. I'm going to redo my living room. I'm going to redo my kitchen. I want to get a new sofa. I'm there to search different types of sofas. And so I'm further down the purchase funnel when I'm on Pinterest. And that's what's so unique about Pinterest when you think about building a community on a social platform.
When this talk first got announced, someone messaged me and said, you have to ask him about the algorithm. Got some laughs. There's something so disruptive, I think, about the fact that just as you get in a groove, just as you figure out what you're doing, people start liking or whatever, reacting to your stuff. What you realize that what you're doing is resonating, and then the next day, crickets. Something changed. It's not working anymore. Nobody's seeing the post that you labored over, thinking you're doing the right thing. How do you see creative entrepreneurs rethinking or approaching the algorithm today?
I think when you think about algorithm changes, you instantly think it's some evil corporation, money changing, advertising, stealing eyeballs. But if you really drill down and think about it, technology has impacted content so much.
Yeah.
And so if we were to go back 15 years ago, video is the hot thing right now, but 15 years ago, your iPhone didn't take 4K HD video. It was a very crummy experience. We didn't have 4G, we didn't have 5G, so the video didn't load in your apps the way it does nowadays. And so I think it's important to keep in mind that technology has impacted the changes in algorithms. And that's where you're constantly studying your analytic tools. Pinterest offers tons of different stats that you can use to see why this worked, why that doesn't work. And it's really about testing and finding what works for you across the space. The last thing I want to say is social media in general, the reason I love it is because it has democratized all creative industries. So let's say 20 years ago you were a singer. You had to have a radio station pick up your song, hope that it got played, and then maybe you got a record deal. Now you can upload your music to Spotify. If people like it, the more consumers engage with it, the more it's going to pop in their algorithm.
And you're making money while you're getting plays for
You're making money
something
when you're getting
great.
plays. And we're no longer dependent on a few people thinking that you're cool or featuring you in a magazine or giving you a record label. And so the opportunity with social media, though it's frustrating, though the algorithm changes, the trends change, it's really important to concentrate on it because you can promote yourself. And at Pinterest, I manage creators from all over the US, from all different walks of life. Some have design experience where they went to school, some did not. But social media has built their business and given them a voice and this opportunity they would have never had otherwise.
Well, I'm excited. Jeremy has a presentation for us, and I'm excited to dive into that in a moment. But you mentioned, the idea that we used to be in a world where you had to wait for someone to acknowledge that what you were doing was special or beautiful or cool. And I think in the design world, in our world here, social media has totally upended a designer's relationship with kind of legacy traditional magazine publishing. You were at Domino, I came from the consumer magazine world as well. And, there was a time, or I think it's still happening, that magazine might ask you to wait and not show anybody your project for a year because they've shot it, they want to run it, they're holding it for an issue. And there are reasons for that. They're trying to get geographic balance, or they want, to mix up the aesthetics in the issue. But I've seen more and more people saying, well, I shot those photos myself. I'm going to put them on the internet now and start using them to build my business. How do you see people handling sort of the decision making that goes into what to do with the photography with the assets that they're creating.
Yeah, so
And how do you see that relationship between traditional media and social media unfolding?
I mean, I think there's 2 points there, right? So when I was at Domino, we were closing the magazine. The magazine's beloved. I think it's one of the best small shelter, beautifully done magazines. But when I would open it up, those 10 images, I consumed 25 of those beautiful images the second I woke up in the morning and flipped open one of my social media apps.
Right.
And so we as consumers consume so many more images, and with the advancement of technology, editing tools, we can make beautiful things ourselves.
Yeah.
I made like I'm really obsessed with fashion. I made like a fake Balenciaga ad when I was on vacation one time, and my friend runs an ad agency, and she's been using that to show how easy it is to make very professional looking content. And so when you think about the space and whether or not to wait and unveil, the eyeballs are everywhere. They're floating around these platforms. And so at Domino, for instance, I would talk to the editorial team and I would be like, shoot behind the scenes video, make that a reel on Instagram, shoot a teachable moment, how you styled this, put that on Pinterest, put 3 more assets of the same image but shot different ways across Instagram. Do like a rolling cadence.
Yeah.
Make this experience or whatever you're creating last a little longer, and think about the fact that we consume so many more images. So give the consumer more images as you're putting this out there. And then secondarily, I do hear from designers all the time who are creators, and they say, I got that big break, I was written up in X, Y, and Z, but you know what, it didn't convert. Like it converted when I put it on X, Y, and Z social media account.
Right.
And people saw it, consumed it, they saved it on Pinterest, they reached out to me, they DM'd me, or they went to my website for more information on my own business.
When I think, we think of Pinterest is a great example of the ability to kind of to pin, to save, to come back to later. Do you think we've moved past that era of pulling out the page of the magazine and that inspiration is happening digitally?
I think on Pinterest specifically, I'm born in the 80s, child of the 90s, and I remember so much loving going to the grocery store to get the latest Rolling Stone because there was a David LaChapelle crazy photo shoot, and those 3 images I would look at over and over again and put on my wall, on my pin board.
But I would look at those 3 images over and over again.
Right.
That feels so foreign now.
So foreign. So you consume, nowadays I would consume 15 images plus a behind the scenes, and then I would forget about it. But on Pinterest, you can save it to your boards.
Yep.
People can follow your boards, and they can see what inspired you too. And so I look at Pinterest as just a really unique solve, especially for creative people, where it finds this balance between being a creator and then giving creative professionals the creative inspiration that they really want.
I think the idea too of telling your own story, of owning your narrative, and you think of the behind the scenes you were having Domino shoot, but a designer could do that for themselves. They could control that cadence. They can tell their own story. They can tell different pieces of that story on the platforms where people are primed to consume that content. And you don't have to wait for anybody to say go.
Exactly, and I love Emma Chamberlain just released her home, I think a month or 2 ago, and she released it in AD. But what I loved is her Pinterest had a very clear boards, like there's one labeled home, and you could see all the pieces to her home. And so you saw it in AD, but then you went on Pinterest and you saw how she put it together and the things that she used to put this design together, and that was twice as inspirational to me.
That's so cool. It was her process.
It was her process.
For consumption.
It was like the behind the scenes, and like you realized she really did a lot of it herself, and you saw why she chose.
Was it shoppable too?
It's shoppable because you could click out and consume the various chairs and whatever else she put in her home.
That's awesome. How does that idea inform some of the tools that you're rolling out on Pinterest?
Yeah, so Pinterest, I mean, if you think about Pinterest, we're in essence a publisher, right? So we're subservient, or we care deeply about our pinners. So what pinners want. And so if we roll out a certain kind of content format and we see it performing really well, we're going to double down and try and make that content format even bigger. A good example of this is we rolled out Pinterest TV probably a year ago, and it was 2 or 3 hours of live programming. It's really caught up in the recent months, and so now we're programming it 12 hours a day.
It's amazing.
And so constantly testing, listening, learning, tweaking the product to give pinners more what they want, because we want audiences to enjoy what people are putting out on Pinterest.
As a creator, is there also, it's not just about influence, is there a way to monetize that time and that creation as well? Are there opportunities to really turn that into a revenue stream?
Yeah, so the keynote I'll give after this
Perfect.
has a lot of that, but I do want to say there's various different ways. So we just launched something called the brand partnership tool. So if you do a sponsorship with Faro and Ball, for example, you could create pins that are linked to Faro and Ball through a handshake. You can both put ad spend behind it if you want to bolster that and get more eyes to it. And you can go about that way. We have something in beta right now called Creator Rewards, and that's where you can make a payment from Pinterest just based on building content. And that's in beta right now. There's no official release date for that, but it's coming. And then the main thing is if you build a community on Pinterest, people are exposed to your ideas. They're going to use you as a designer. They're going to buy your goods if there's something that you're selling, if you're a verified merchant and you have your catalog uploaded to Pinterest. And so it's a very useful sales tool to bolster your business.
Amazing. Will you have an incredible presentation for us? Take it away.
All right.
Thank you.
So I'm going to stand and go through my presentation. The first thing I want to show is our new marketing campaign, which ties to the t-shirt I'm wearing. And so.
On procrastination, I show up right after you've had a great idea to convince you that it's too hard and you can always do it, someday. So let's just snuggle up, forget about it. Oh, let's scooch on over for our old pal Regret. Oh, God, what are you doing?
Finishing those shelves I learned how to make on Pinterest.
Yeah, but I have memes.
Maybe later.
Dude, come on, don't do that. You've changed.
So Pinterest is here to inspire you to do something. People come to Pinterest with the intent to actively search, not passively scroll. That is the biggest differentiator between Pinterest and other platforms, is you come on the platform to do something. You're further down the purchase funnel because you're gonna build those shelves in your kitchen. And so people don't just consume your ideas, they actually try them. And so for this audience, Pinterest has over 433 million active users on a monthly basis. What's so interesting about that is 9 out of 10 come for home, decor, and design content. So if you are a designer, it is my firm belief 10 years from now, Pinterest is going to be one of the most, if not the most important part of your marketing mix when you look at putting your business on social media for promotion. And we also have 5 billion monthly searches and 390 billion pins have been saved. Pinterest's mission is truly to bring everyone the inspiration to create a life they love. I love Pinterest because I look at it as the little engine that could. They've stayed true to who they are. It's been going for 11 and a half years. Pinterest, if you think about it, news doesn't necessarily make sense on Pinterest, right? Because it's evergreen, it's teachable content. So inherently, the platform is very, very positive. We hear from creators all the time, I made this, I put it over here, and I got all this pushback, but I put it on Pinterest, and I got all this love because someone searched for it, sought it out, found it, and built something based off of that idea. So this is just a little bit of how Pinterest works. We are first and foremost a visual discovery engine. The system gathers signals from billions of pins to surface the right content, the right idea at the right moment. The more people that engage with your content, the more it shows up across Pinterest. And so this is kind of the meat and potatoes of what I'm here to talk about today. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we made a push to evolve to put creators first. And if you think about the way we consume content, right? I read all my magazines through the Apple newsreader. I watch all my TV on Apple TV. And so I'm consuming content from various different things, but all in the same format, in the same kind of walled garden. You're in your Instagram app, you don't necessarily leave it very often. You're consuming content within it. And so Pinterest introduced the ability to create and build original content directly on the platform 2 years ago. And then this is something I made when I first got to Pinterest. And the reason I made this is because, again, the creator burnout, what do you put on Pinterest? And so I used this example as my trip to the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens. And so if I were putting this experience, I would put it on Twitter in real time, the snappy headline, I ran into my ex at the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens, # why are men like toddlers? If I was putting it on Instagram, it's a glamorized picture of myself with the beautiful blossoms in the background. We had an issue, and this won't play, but the idea pin version of this, which is a product that we rolled out last year, which I'll go over in a little bit, shows sweeping images of the botanical gardens. And so you would save it because you would see these sweeping images. You want to be there, you want to go there, and inspires you to actually do it. And then this TikTok example, this woman snaps her fingers, and then all of a sudden there's these cherry blossoms behind her because it's entertaining. And so when you think about your mix, Twitter very timely in the now, Instagram very editorial driven, Pinterest is actionable. It's getting your idea out there, it's teaching people how to do something, and then TikTok is really there for entertainment. This is an example of Kelly Wursler. She's been building original content on the platform for well over 2 years. When you looked at her media mix, so the things that she could offer her brand partners to sponsor or to showcase any new products that she's coming out with, historically Instagram was the only place she could promote those products. Then she got on TikTok. She also has built an audience on TikTok, but most importantly, she now has over 278,000 followers on Pinterest, and her content sees over 5.5 million monthly views. And when you think about these platforms as an ecosystem for a business, Pinterest is so important because you're further down the purchase funnel. You're going on Pinterest, you're searching for something. Kelly might have just put out this new table or this new lamp. You go there, you're already looking to buy it, you click out and you purchase it. And so that's why this ecosystem, in addition to the other ones, is so important to the design community in the home space. And then this just shows you like an example that Kelly did where the piece on the left is her inspiration. It showed how she created this space, and then she showed it off as a finished piece on Instagram. And so these are the current 4 content formats we have. And so the idea pin is not brand new, it's a year old. It was launched last year. This is a very long format. It gives you the idea to tell a story from start to finish, to really teach someone. And then we have a standard pin, which is your image upload. We have a video pin, just that, uploading a video. And then we have carousel, where you can swipe through multiple images. And so introducing idea pins. Idea pins are the newest native format on Pinterest. They are tailor-made for inspiration and showcase your ideas through creative storytelling. So this is where you can take an idea and really expand upon it. It's a place where you can share your passion. Idea pins are great tools to inform others on topics that you're passionate about. Whether you're offering steps to do something, you're offering ingredients from a recipe, you can show start to finish of how you redid a bookshelf, how you reupholstered a sofa in your living room, and put it out in the space that way. The main thing about idea pins is the product itself gives you so many different tools to build. So we have video editing capabilities, there's sound effects, there's interactive tools, and then you put finishing touches on the pin before you publish it. And so this is a snapshot of the publishing tools. If you have the Pinterest app right now, open up your phone, click the Pinterest app. At the bottom, you'll see a plus sign, and it gives you the ability to publish either an idea pin, a regular pin, which is either static or video, or create a board. And so if you click the idea pin, all of these publishing tools will pop up. So the first, you can record and edit from the actual app. Ghost mode is really cool, where it takes an image or a video and it stops it, and it gives you that silhouette of the image, and then you can shoot the next frame to create a clean and unique transition between the two. And then of course we have video and photo filters. And lastly, you can split and edit video directly in the app. And then the publishing tools, so sound effects. So you can continuously add music across your full idea pin. We just launched this week, if you read in the news last week, we partnered with 3 different record labels. And we now have the ability to add trending music to your idea pin. We also have a huge library of copyright-free music that you can utilize. One thing we hear from creators all the time is they're like, I don't want to be a talking head in front of the camera. I want to be a personality behind the scenes. And that's where voiceover can work really well. You can use text to tell your idea. You don't have to be the YouTube star on Pinterest. It's all about getting your idea out there in the best way possible. And then again, I think I jumped ahead, but the music library is there too. And then from interactive capabilities, we have custom fonts. You can tag other creators within Pinterest. Stickers are a really unique way to celebrate moments. I use them a lot because they just have really interesting graphics that you can use to decorate the idea pin as you go through it. And then this is pretty cool. There's a button on the idea pin where you can click shopping recommendations, and Pinterest will actually scan your idea pin for what the content that is in it, and it'll give shopping recommendations at the bottom so the consumer can shop the things that are in your idea pin. We also have something called virtual try-on, and so 2 years ago, we launched virtual try-on with beauty, and that's where you could click this button and you could physically try the lipstick on your face. So the camera would open up, and then you can see the different colors of X, Y, and Z lipstick, and you can click out to buy the one that looks the best on you. Pertinent to this space, this year we launched try-on for home, and so it uses augmented reality to show you exactly what that sofa looks like in your living room. And so if I'm showing you how I redid my living room and you love this green sofa, you can click the products tag, it'll open up your camera, and you can physically place it and see how it looks in your living room in real time. So it does, the scale is what's really, really interesting about it. And then product tagging, obviously this is huge. If you're a designer, if you sell products yourself, upload your products to Pinterest, and then you can tag them as you're going through an idea pin, and the consumer can click out to buy them. And then the publishing tools finishing touches. So multi-drafts, you can create 3 to 4 idea pins, save it in your drafts folder, and publish them, this week, next week, etc. Safe zones are really important before you publish because you want to see where these tools are on the right-hand side so they don't interrupt your creation. And so it gives you a preview of that. And then draft export. You can also export your final idea pin in a video format, and I like to paste them to Instagram stories. You can use it in other places as well. This is the most important, so topic tagging, right? Back to Pinterest being visual search. Before you publish your idea pin, it's going to ask you to pick out topics that are relevant to what your content is. You can tag between 6 and 8 topics, and this is what's going to continue getting your idea pin to pop through visual search as you build your community. We also have something really cool that I love, and it's called an instructions list. And so you click a button at the bottom of the idea pin. If you're publishing a recipe, that's where you can put the actual ingredients. You could put the step-by-step. The consumer can hold that, copy it, and save it to their notes app. So when they're at the grocery store, they can make sure they buy all of those ingredients. If there's supplies, you can do the same thing. Or if there's just notes and different tips that you want to give the consumer from a written perspective, those are there too. And then before you publish, always use preview mode, which will show you exactly what your idea pin will look like when it's floating through the ecosystem. And then this is just a little bit about Pinterest services. And so this is what your profile looks like on a mobile optimized, and it's very similar on desktop too. And so a description, I encourage you all to put a description as to what you do. If you publish an idea pin, the very last slide of your idea pin, it will pop up with your picture, the description of your profile, and it'll ask the consumer to follow you. And so for mine, it says, "Hi, I'm Jeremy. I love all things design and style. Follow along to get more inspiration around the topics of design and style." And so that's super important. And then of course there's a follow button. Your profile is now split into 2 categories. So created is all the original content that you've uploaded to Pinterest, and saved is where all your boards lie. And so this is the switch that we made to the home feed. So now it's split into 2 on mobile, where it's browse and watch. Browse is the waterfall of all content that we think that you would like. Watch is strictly idea pins, so it's coming from creators, different inspirational things, and that's a full screen experience. And then search. So search is obviously, again, the main thing that we do at Pinterest, and this is where you can search for the various things that you're looking for across the ecosystem. And then I'm going to get into best practices. And so great content on Pinterest inspires people to do something. It's super important. We want to stay true to what Pinterest is there for. It's there to inspire, to teach, to do something. So you put your teachable moments on Pinterest. Create often. What's interesting about Pinterest is in June, we switched and we made every piece of content equal. So whether you upload a static image, or you upload a video, or you upload an idea pin, those things are weighted equally in the algorithm. And what we think right now is that saves are a really unique selling proposition from us. And so the algorithm is recognizing the more content is saved, that pinners love it and they serve it up more to people. When I say create often, Apartment Therapy is a publisher that we saw huge success with on Pinterest. And so they started publishing 2 to 3 idea pins per week 3 years ago. They had 900,000 followers then. They now have over 5 million followers. And so I do encourage, if you're getting serious about Pinterest, if you want to be a creator on Pinterest, upload 2 to 3 pieces of content per week, and that'll very much help you build an ecosystem across the space. And then show your full idea. Idea pins are a great way to show the full idea start to finish of whatever it is you're coming out with. and then create it on Pinterest. Just demonstrate to the consumer how you can do that, the finishing touches across the space. And then talk to your audience. And this goes back to what I said earlier about how you don't have to be in front of the camera. You can use voiceover, you can use text to get your ideas out there. And then use video early and often. I say use video because if you think about the waterfall of content on Pinterest, what's going to grab your attention the most? The thing that's moving in the left-hand corner. And so I encourage everyone to open with video, especially if you're using an idea pin. And then you can add text, overlays, and calls to action. And then, of course, give it a last look before you publish it. And then I'll just go into a little bit about engaging with your audience. And so since January 2021, we have seen 3 times the amount of engagement with idea pins. So we know that this format is working. It's giving people start to finish of how they build and create something. And then measuring success. So standard with Pinterest, you get pin stats. And so pin stats help you see how each of your individual pins are performing. They give key metrics, so impressions, how much each one of your pieces of content was seen, pin clicks, just that, someone saw your pin, they clicked it, they opened it, they experienced it. Saves, which we do think right now is the ultimate compliment inside of Pinterest. Someone saved it to a board to either take action on later or to inspire people who are following their boards. Profile visits, just that, someone saw your pin floating around the ecosystem and visited your profile. And then of course the ultimate form of flattery, a follow. Someone subscribes to your content because they love what you did so much they want more of it. And so Pinterest analytics are available for business accounts. So if you have a business, if you're really using this to bolster your design business, you're selling products, I encourage you to open up a business account. And that gets you additional analytics. And so impressions, of course, same thing, but this also gets you monthly views of all of your content, so how your content was seen across everything. Engagements, so when people comment, react, if they tag you in a piece of content. Engaged audience is the number of people who have engaged with your pins across the space, period. And then your total audience is your total audience across the full ecosystem. And then, of course, we also surface top pins. And so those are the pins that have got the most engagement over the last 30 days. And then key takeaways, this is my last slide, and we're gonna jump into Q&A. And so Pinterest is different here. It's a positive space. I love it. I use it before I go to sleep. There's no crazy news content. It just puts you in a creative space to build something and be inspired. 430 million people are here. 89 million of those people come for home and design content. You can truly build your brand here, especially in the home and design space. Idea pins are a wonderful and amazing way to get your full concept out in the space. You can also drive tons of engagement. When I think about social media, and it goes back to what we were talking about in terms of creator burnout, this is the first time a company has ever done this, right? So you've always used Pinterest in the way where you were link sharing and you were clicking out to blogs. Now you have the ability to capitalize on a built-in audience of over 430 million people as a creator and create, because this is a new behavior that was not on the platform 3 years ago. And then get paid. Everyone wants to make money. On Pinterest, you can utilize it to bolster your own brands. Creator rewards will be out hopefully next year. It's in beta right now. You can also use the paid partnership handshake tool if you're doing sponsorships with other brands. And really reinforce, if you're doing a sponsorship, you go on Pinterest to shop, and that's gonna be very valuable to the advertiser or the brand that you're talking to. And use that as another tool to sell and to promote whatever it is that you're doing. So that is it for my spiel.
Amazing. That was incredible. Thank you.